Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something that every single parent, caregiver, and coach absolutely has to get right. But, it's also a topic packed with a surprising amount of confusion and, honestly, some pretty hidden dangers. We're talking about hydration, specifically exactly how much water kids should be drinking. I mean, it sounds super simple, right? Just hand them a glass of water. But as we'll see going through the pediatric guidelines today, kids are definitely not just miniature adults. Their bodies process fluids in a completely different way, and dialing in their hydration is literally a game changer for their development.
Think of it this way. Water isn't just about quenching thirst. It is, quite literally, a child's ultimate superpower source. The clinical data is crystal clear on this. When kids are well hydrated, their entire system just works better. Sure, it boosts their physical energy and keeps their body temperature in check, but it also has a massive impact on their brain. We're attacking better moods, sharper memory, and laser focus in the classroom. On the flip side, even a tiny dip in hydration, like just a 2% drop in body weight, can trigger sudden crankiness, lethargy, and a real nosedive in both physical and mental performance.
Okay, but hold on a second. Before we go any further, we need to do a hard stop. We really need to talk about a critical, life-saving warning that every single parent absolutely must know. While water is this amazing superpower for older kids, for infants under 6 months old, it is strictly off-limits. In fact, giving plain water to a young baby can literally be deadly. It's an incredibly dangerous mistake to dilute baby formula to try and make it stretch further, or to give a young infant a bottle of free water just because it's a hot day outside. So let's look under the hood for a minute. Why is water so dangerous for babies? Well, it boils down to a condition called pediatric hyponatremia, which you might have heard called water intoxication. See, an infant's kidneys are tiny, like about the size of a grape, and they just aren't fully developed yet. Doctors say they have a very low glomerular filtration rate. But in plain English, that just means their little kidneys simply cannot process and filter out a sudden flood of plain water. When they get too much of it, it actually dilutes the sodium in their bloodstream, creating this highly dangerous imbalance. And the fallout from that sudden sodium drop is severe, and it heavily impacts the nervous system. Because a baby's skull is rigid and their brain is growing so fast, that excess water basically shifts right into their cells, causing brain swelling. Early on, this might just look like sudden irritability, confusion, or them being extremely drowsy, which doctors call somnolence. But if that sodium imbalance gets worse, things escalate fast to muscle tremors, twitching, seizures, and even coma. So, the absolute bottom line here is this. For the first 6 months of life, a baby gets 100% of their hydration strictly from breast milk or properly mixed formula. Period.
So once a child is actually old enough to drink water safely, you run right into a brand new challenge, keeping them hydrated. Which brings up a really fascinating question. Why are kids, from tiny toddlers all the way up to teenagers, just so much more vulnerable to getting dehydrated than we are? Why does a standard stomach bug or an afternoon running around the park completely drain a kid so much faster than it drains an adult?
Well, the physiological difference here is just staggering. It's all about total body water as a percentage of their overall mass. In a healthy adult, water makes up roughly 45 to 60% of our total body weight, but an infant, they are sitting at 70 to 80%, and young children are hovering right around 65%. So, because kids are essentially made of a much higher proportion of water, and because they're physically so much smaller, it takes a significantly smaller amount of fluid loss for them to cross that dangerous line, right into clinical dehydration.
Let's put that into perspective. Look at the number 100. A healthy infant turns over about 100 milliliters of water per kilogram of body weight every single day. Compare that to us adults, who only turn over about 40 milliliters per kilogram. It's less than half. Kids just have a much faster metabolic rate and a higher surface area to volume ratio. That means they're losing more water simply by breathing and sweating through their skin. They're burning through their fluid reserves at more than double the rate we do.
All right, moving into Section 1, Age-Specific Hydration Guidelines, and finding your child's daily fluid target.
So how on earth do we keep up with that crazy rapid fluid turnover? Let's march chronologically right through the pediatric guidelines so you can pinpoint exactly what your child needs right now. Just a quick reminder, these are your baselines. Kids out there playing soccer in the July heat will absolutely need more. Okay, as we established, 0 to 6 months, 0 ounces of water. Once they hit that 7 to 12 month mark and start trying solid foods, you can introduce a little bit, around 4 to 8 ounces a day in a sippy cup, mainly just to get them used to the habit. By 1 to 3 years old, they need about 4 cups of total beverages daily. For the 4 to 8-year-old crowd, that bumps up to 5 cups, and for older kids and teens, it jumps way up, ranging anywhere from 7 to 11 cups depending on their age and biological sex. And while that includes milk, plain old water should always be the star of the show.
let's jump to Section 2, spotting dehydration and knowing the early warning signs.
Because knowing the target is great, but it's only half the battle. One of the biggest takeaways from the pediatric research is this: thirst is a delayed indicator. By the time a busy kid actually stops playing, walks over, and says, "Hey, I'm thirsty," they are already mildly dehydrated. We have to be proactive. This is exactly why we need to use the best, most immediate self-monitoring tool out there, the urine color test. Teach your kids the lemonade versus apple juice rule. It's super simple. If their pee looks like pale lemonade or just has a slight hint of yellow, they are perfectly hydrated. But if it starts looking dark yellow or brown like apple juice, they are dehydrated and need to chug some water right away. It's just a fantastic visual trick for kids to keep an eye on their own bodies.
But hey, if you miss those early signs, you really need to know the physical red flags. For toddlers and children, check for dry lips, a sticky mouth with thick saliva, and just extreme lethargy or unusual fussiness. If they are crying and you don't see any tears, that is a massive warning sign. In babies, a sunken soft spot on the top of their head is a critical indicator. And for the older kids, if they complain of dizziness or feeling lightheaded when they stand up, that points to a serious fluid deficit. If you're seeing these severe symptoms, especially the lack of tears or extreme lethargy, you've got to call your pediatrician immediately. For infants and toddlers, burn the number 3 into your memory. This is your emergency benchmark. If your young child has fewer than 3 wet diapers in a 24-hour period, that is a huge clinical red flag. It literally means their kidneys are hoarding whatever tiny bit of fluid is left in their system. If a nasty stomach bug has pushed their diaper count below 3 for the day, seriously, don't wait around. Call your doctor or head straight to urgent care.
All right, Section 3, Creative Hydration Hacks. Let's talk about making water fun for kids.
Okay, let's pivot away from the scary stuff and get into some really practical, everyday solutions. Because, let's be real, getting a stubborn toddler or a totally distracted kid to drink plain, boring water can feel like a full-time job. So how do we make hydration a frictionless part of their day? We make it fun. Hack number 1, make it visually awesome and tasty. Kids love color, but you don't need to hand them sugary juices or sports drinks that just lead to cavities. Instead, toss a few slices of fresh strawberries, cucumbers, or oranges into their water. Or even better, have them help you make custom ice cubes. Freeze some blueberries or a little basil right into the ice. It gives the water a tiny kick of flavor and makes the whole thing feel like a special treat.
Hack number 2 leans right into kids' psychology. Gamify it. Forget the boring sticker charts, try playing plant charades. Get your kids to pretend they are wilting, thirsty plants that slowly stand up tall and bloom as they drink their water. It's silly, it gets them moving, and it builds incredible positive reinforcement. You can totally pair this with letting them pick out their own brightly colored water bottle. If they link drinking water to a goofy game and take ownership of their gear, they take ownership of their own hydration.
And finally, hack number 3. Always remember that hydration doesn't just come from cups. You can literally eat your water. A massive chunk of a child's daily fluid intake can, and honestly should, come from high-water foods. Slices of watermelon, cantaloupe, strawberries, cucumber, celery, all of these are more than 90% water. Serving these fruits and veggies with meals or as afternoon snacks is a super sneaky, highly effective way to pump up their hydration levels without forcing yet another glass of water on them.
We've covered a ton of ground in this explainer today, from the intense physiological vulnerabilities of infants all the way to daily fluid targets for teens and the hacks to actually make it happen. Water really is the ultimate superpower for a growing body and mind. So I want to leave you with this. Looking at your own daily routine, how are you going to upgrade your family's hydration habits today? Are you going to teach them the lemonade test, try out those fruit-infused ice cubes, or maybe play some plant charades? Pick just one, try it out, and watch how it transforms their energy and focus. Thanks so much for joining me, and stay hydrated out there.